Welcome to another coffee break. This month, we are taking a look at 5 things you should know about bucket list acceleration. Now, you might be sitting there and going, what is bucket list acceleration? I know what bucket list is, and I kind of know what accelerating is. What does that mean? We will get into it, I promise you. But if you are returning viewer, we just want to say thank you so much for coming back. We're happy to have you. And if you are new here, you might go, what is this coffee break thing? So if you are returning, just give me 2 seconds. Let me catch them up, and then we will get into the topic, I promise. So basically what coffee break is it's made for 401k participants. So if you're contributing to your 401k or you're eligible, this is really made for you. Honestly, even if you're not, it's okay. You're still to watch it, of course, but we do most of the time have very specific things about benefits at work, and 401k takes the precedent on that. So that's why we say that. These are quick peeks into some strategies or some things to think about to secure your financial future. We want you to have, a great journey to financial freedom, and hopefully these help you. These videos are 15 minutes max. We really try to keep them short. The whole idea is you're supposed to grab your cup of coffee, enjoy the video, and then get right back to work. We do not want to distract you. And today we're just going to cover highlights. So if you have specific questions about your personal situation, obviously I'm not going to answer it here. I don't know you or your situation. So feel free to set up a obligation, complimentary conversation that we can have, and you'll find all that information at the end of the video. All right, and then One Vision Retirement is our company. You see that above my name. You see it on the screen there. And it's me, Lisa Sakai, and Christopher Whalen. And we've got vast experiences. You can see I tend to work a lot with professionals and their families and going through benefits and all that stuff. How does this all work for them? And Chris tends to work a lot with the business owners. So he will help put a lot of these benefits in place. So we got you covered pretty much is the gist of it. Okay, so let's jump into the first one. The first one is identifying your true values. Okay, so before we even jump into this, you might say, well, you still didn't explain to us what bucket list acceleration is. So obviously, excuse me, a bucket list is a list of different things you want to do or experience or all this stuff before you pass away, right? No regrets. We want to go to Italy. We want to get our kitchen redone. We want to live in Nantucket, whatever. I'm just making up stuff. None of those are actually mine. but, you have a list of things that you want, and those are called your bucket list items. You want to check them off before, you pass on. There's a whole movie actually on this. I think it's got Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. I've never seen it. Well, actually, I have seen it. I just don't remember much about it, but it was a good movie, I guess. But it's called The Bucket List. So that might be something good to check out if you don't know anything. But you can have a bucket list. You don't have to wait till the end of your life. You can have it anytime. And acceleration means, how do we get you to be able to do all these things on your bucket list? Because we have this list and then we never do it. And we say, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I went to Italy someday? We just never do it. So how do we accelerate it so that you can actually enjoy your life now while you're still building for your future and being prepared for that as well? So, all right, now that that's out of the way, let's get into your true values. So basically, when it's not about spending your money blindly, the bucket list, right? It's about aligning your resources with whatever brings you fulfillment. So, would it be nice to go on a yacht? Yeah, but is that really truly what I want? Your bucket list shouldn't be like 50 things. It should be like 5 or 10 things that you really truly thought about, really feel like are going to bring something to your life. Maybe it's a nice experience with your family that you don't want to forget. Build plans on what brings personal fulfillment and not societal standards. I know we watch things on TV, there's all those ones about, rich people on boats, getting served food and going to the islands and stuff. If that's not really you and what you really value, don't put it on your bucket list. Don't waste money, okay? You've worked hard for it. Don't waste it. So, their traditional retirement focuses on simple cash totals, and accelerating these planning balances really can help get you those experiences as well, right? So we want to take a look at, fulfillment. And fulfillment really is going to be lots of different parts, right? It's going to be experiences and health. But we've got to eliminate financial worry. So we've got to have a secure plan that's moving along, that we build the bucket list next to it. That makes sense. Okay. So the next thing you need to be thinking about is creating a mini bucket list. So like I said, I don't think you should have 50 things on your bucket list, but that is just me. Maybe I'm wrong. maybe you disagree with me, but I think, 10 solid ones are good. Now, what you want to do is pinpoint maybe one or two mid-sized things to start off with, maybe a mid-sized travel. Maybe you've always wanted to go to Yosemite and you've never gotten there. You live in somewhere on the East Coast. So, something like that, smaller, not going on a world cruise for, 365 days of the year, something small. Or maybe you take a look at a hobby or an item that you want to execute this year. Like, I've always wanted to learn how to crochet, and that's something I want to do. That can be in your bucket list, just by the way. You don't want to start for retirement. So you do want to pinpoint one or two things that you can kind of get started with. Then you're going to plan this small micro adventure, or whatever it is. Maybe it's taking crocheting lessons, or I don't know what it is. So you're going to actually start putting details away. You're going to, start looking at what hotels you can look at, time of year, all that stuff. Actually start to get together some details so you can actually put a number to that. Now, of course, it might not be perfect, inflation, all that stuff, right? But, get an idea of how much that's going to cost for you. And then from there, you're going to start putting away money for that goal. So every dollar counts, and you're going to do it alongside your traditional planning, right? So you're going to have your savings, your emergency fund. You should have your emergency fund in place before you do this, just as an FYI. But you're saving to your 401k, to you're still doing that stuff. But now you're allocating a portion of your savings to this mini bucket list item. And I say start with mini because it's something small. We can achieve it. It's like paying off debt, right? You want to pay off the smallest one first. A lot of people say, because it gives you a sense of accomplishment. Why not check off something that's a little easier to get to at the beginning? And then you're going to take a look at your weekly things and say, do I really need to go to, the wine bar with the girlfriends? Or maybe we could just go for a walk instead, and I could pocket that $100, and that could go to my bucket list. So those are the things to think about when you're doing this. Now, the next thing is aligning your capital. Okay. So diversifying long-term and short-term. And this is kind of what I was talking about. You're not going to put everything in your 401k. You shouldn't anyhow, whether you're doing bucket list planning or not. Everything shouldn't be in something that you can't get to till 59 and a half or have tax implications. You really want to have an emergency fund, but B, some liquidity someplace else, right? So to fund your experiences, you obviously aren't going to take it from your 401k. Some people do. That is super dangerous. You don't want to do that. Yes, you can borrow from your 401k, and there's all these aspects, but really, if you are trying to hit financial freedom, you're not going to do that. Okay. It's just bad financial decisions, in my opinion. That's a blanket statement, but that is my opinion. Obviously, loans and things are there for emergencies. And if it's an emergency, it's totally fine. Going to Yosemite is not an emergency unless you've got family there or something like that. That's something like that's going on. It's not an emergency. And so you want to have, short-term experience savings account. Now you might want to consider, since Yosemite is not going to be all that expensive, let's say, maybe it's $5,000 for you and the family or something, then you might want to take a look at it and go, okay, so it's $5,000. I don't want to put it in like an investment account because there's some implications of like growth and how that's taxed and all that stuff. I won't get into that today, but there's different implications on that. So you might decide to just put it in a high yield savings account, something that's getting a little bit of interest. but is still providing something. You still want it to grow a bit, but you don't want to necessarily put it in something that's going to provide a lot of risk, right? Okay. The next thing is break the someday habit, right? So in our heads, we say we don't need to do this because someday I'm going to do it all, right? I'm going to retire. We're going to do it all. You don't want to wait for the perfect condition to pursue this. You've got to be active in your life, especially if you're trying to achieve financial freedom. So basically, what you want to do is you want to overcome this hesitancy for things to be perfect before you do this. Okay. That's why starting with a mini goal really makes sense, like the crocheting aspect of it. Now, if you're a guy, you probably think that sounds ridiculous, but a lot of women want to be a little bit more homebodies than we are. And maybe crocheting is the thing she likes to do. Okay. So, you want to start with something small that you can achieve. And that will get you over the hump a bit of this hesitation for everything to be perfect. And there's a great quote by Doris Lessing. I don't know who this is, but I found it. I thought it was good. Whatever you're meant to do, do it now. The conditions are always impossible. They're definitely impossible if you have that in your head that they're impossible. The last thing is making it happen. So, how do you make this happen? Write a list, right? Pinpoint, if you're not quite sure, pinpoint 3 distinct dreams you would like to tackle this year or maybe in the next 3 years, depending on how big they are, right? And you're going to choose one to pursue. One. You're not doing 3, one, okay? Check your savings goal and your bucket list goal progress, quarterly, really. And a lot of people will do it monthly because they're so excited to do the bucket list thing, which I think is cool too. So, make sure you are checking and seeing that everything's doing what it's supposed to do, that that you're able to put money away. Again, goes alongside of your savings, your bucket list goals. So your bucket list savings, I should say. So do not stop your regular savings. You're just going to allocate a little bit of it to the bucket list part of it. And then map your plan. Like I said, get details. Really know, feel, smell that goal, because the more you do that, the more motivated you're going to be. When you complete it, celebrate it. Don't just go, oh, it's okay. I guess I did a good job. No, you want to feel that sense of accomplishment so that maybe the next one is going to Italy or is doing a bigger thing, redoing the kitchen. That's a big one. Like people are sitting there with 1980s kitchens and they want to redo them. Whatever it is, you want to tackle something big the next one maybe. So you need to celebrate it so that you give yourself credit and just telling your brain, I can do it. And then you rinse and repeat. Once this is done, you're going to move on to the next thing. Okay. All right. So in conclusion, the bottom line is you can start checking off bucket lists now. You don't need to wait. It's not you only live once, right? It's no YOLO, but it also is the ability to balance taking care of yourself in the future, but also enjoying your life now. Because if you don't really know who you are outside of work, it's just not going to mesh well, especially when you hit retirement. You think you're going to do all this stuff and then you don't. And then you're, 95 years old and you never really got to go to Italy because it just didn't fit for you when you retired. So you don't want that happening. Align living your life now with taking care of yourself long term. I think that's pretty clear what we said. And make it a way of life. This is not a one-time thing. You're not checking off one thing and going, oh, that's it. That was great. See you later. You're building that muscle. That's why starting with a mini goal really works. And, if you like this video, feel free to go on. We have lots of other videos on this YouTube channel here. And this is where you find the information if you'd like to set up a call or reach out to us for any information. We're happy to do that. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully you feel inspired. It's summer. I'm filming this in July and summer and people are off doing things. And this is the time to start dreaming a little bit bigger. And that's what life is supposed to be about, right? So until next time, be safe, be strong, be kind to one another, and have a great one. And we'll see you in the next coffee break. Bye-bye.